Hi, Devashish. Thanks for joining me in this conversation about PPG's journey to build a global composable platform. And may I first ask you to quickly introduce yourself to the audience.
Sure. Hey, thanks for having me, Robert. It's good to be here with you. My name is Devashish Saxena. I am Vice President and Chief Digital Officer at PPG Industries. PPG, just a quick intro on PPG. PPG is a global paint and coatings company. I think our CEO introduces us the best. I love the quote where he says, if it moves, we coat it. If it doesn't move, we coat it. So as you can imagine from that, we are in a variety of industries on a global basis, over 70 plus countries. And I've been with the company for a couple of years. I've sort of grown up in my career at the intersection of digital and international, and I joined PPG back in 2019.
Thanks, Devashish. And my name is Robert Kooloos. I'm a digital platform strategist at Capgemini. I have more than 20 years of experience in building customer experience platforms for different clients in both the B2B and B2C industries. And I am a strong believer in building composable commerce platforms and the whole movement that is now turning towards that. So, Devashish, last year we started on our collaborative journey to build a global composable digital platform for PPG. And we do that with the promise that it in the end will increase the speed to impact, and it will also help PPG to become a more responsive, lean, agile enterprise. So what I really admire and really like in your leadership is that you know this will not be a linear journey, and you definitely know where you want to go, but you know this will be sometimes rough sailing, that this will be sometimes rough seas ahead, and you also know that in the end it's more about creating impact, about creating real added value in the lives of your end customers and making PPG as an organization more responsive to change. So we will probably not dive too deep into the technology today, but let me ask you first, what were the main business reasons, the main business drivers for PPG to decide to start building this composable digital platform?
Yeah, so Robert, let me address that maybe in a couple of different ways, because the first part of it, if I take the word composable out, the digital platform, that's not something that was a new decision. PPG has been maybe not so much a platform, but definitely been trying to understand over the years, as many other companies around the world, how we connect and continue to improve our connection to our customers digitally. Now, what we have recognized is that the approach we had taken in the past, which was very siloed, very driven out of many different businesses or many different brands in many different markets, created a space where we had lots of monoliths of technologies that delivered a very disparate customer experience, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's two, if you think about it, the business drivers, right? There's a pull, which is definitely still coming from our customers. And if anything, the pandemic, just like it did for everybody else, accentuated that. It was already there. Yeah. It accentuated that. And we recognize that our customers' journeys are changing, keep on changing and keep on evolving. And digital plays a bigger and bigger part in how they do their work, how they research products, how they buy products, how they want to get support on products. So we recognize that, and we really have embraced omni-channel as sort of how we expect to go to market to serve our customers. So there is definitely a pull element, and it's important because we believe that as we continue to serve our customers effectively in an omni-channel way, that they will reward PPG with their loyalty, right, and their advocacy, and that's the ultimate reward any company can drive for. So that's definitely one driver. On the business side, there is definitely a driver that I mentioned that, hey, we wanted to move away from all of those monolith kind of style to something that's more platform. And then I think the second piece or the third piece is the why composable, and you mentioned it. It's right. It's speed and flexibility, but flexibility gives you speed. And I think we may talk about that later. So I'll stop. But definitely, it's about speed, and it's about speed in bringing capabilities to market to our customers, which then creates the impact that we're seeking as a business.
Yeah, great answer, and that's very recognizable. If I look in my experience in building global digital platforms, I see quite some complexities around building this for different businesses, different business units, for example, in your case, for serving different markets and then also targeting different customer segments. And on the other hand, also complexities around striking this right balance between a global standardization of this platform and offering your local businesses enough freedom to really serve their customers in the best way they possibly see fit. And now PPG is going to build this global composable digital platform for all of your business units, for all of your brands, for all of your countries, and targeting all these different customer segments. Now, tell me, how are you managing this complexity as PPG? How are you doing that, and how is a composable platform helping in doing that?
Yeah, that's and I think again a great question, and I'm sure very familiar to many who are listening who work in environments like the one we have here at PPG. And you're right? There's different kinds of complexities that you outlined. There's the complexities in terms of the differences in our customers, right? Because on one end, we have large automotive OEM or aerospace companies as customers, and on the other hand, it's Joe the painter, everything in between, and they all have different customer journeys. And then you have the complexity in terms of our product offering, because we bring different products to those different kinds of customers. You have the geographic complexity because we are operating in 70 plus countries. And then underpinned by all of that, you have the sort of the internal complexities, right, of our technical landscape, our operations and processes, etc. So I wouldn't claim, Robert, that we figured out how we are going to address all of those complexities. We've definitely recognized them, and but we recognize them as things that we have to work through, right? And this is where the flexibility of the architecture is really critical, because at the end of the day, we're not looking to deliver the same experience to every customer. We want to deliver the right experience to every customer, but we want our architecture and platform to enable us to do that rather than limit us from doing that. And I think that's where the flexibility in the composable architecture allows us to do that, is still build capabilities at scale that allow us to connect into a technically complex landscape on our back end, and still create customer experiences that are relevant. Right? At the end of the day, we want to create a relevant customer experience. Now, one thing I will say, in all of those customer experiences, there's usually a lot more commonality than there are differences, which often people don't recognize. But we will absolutely be trying to understand what those commonalities are, and then use our architecture to help us create the meaning and relevance where it's necessary.
Great. Yeah, and you already mentioned the technical landscape that is also behind the platform, where you need to integrate the composable digital platform towards your backend systems and all your legacy IT. So yeah, maybe also in that sense, have you already had some lessons learned in the last year by starting to build this platform?
Well, I think that the biggest lesson learned is that this journey is a journey, and it's a journey for us as a team, right? In terms of our own organizational maturity, because we have historically thought, designed, built products, digital products, in a certain way, and now we are trying to think, design, and build products in a different way. And as it is a journey of change, right? Digital transformation is a process of change.
Yeah.
It starts with us, right? We have to change how we have thought and worked in the past. So the biggest learning is that we are recognizing that this is a journey that we are on, and we create the right kind of feedback mechanisms for us, the retro for us to keep ensuring that get better. Even on the architectural side, we are learning. We may have started with a version 1 of a reference architecture, then we start to put things in play, and we flex and we adapt, right? So I think there's a lot of learnings, but I would say the biggest one is that this is an organizational journey for the team itself.
Yeah.
And that requires acknowledgement, acceptance, and then the right rigor and governance to ensure that we keep progressing.
Yeah, great, and I think that's really interesting, because you are already mentioning it. It's in the end, I think the platform is important in this broader digital transformation, but in the end, it's your people, the people that are building this platform, but also the people that are driving this platform and operating the platform, and that are working with your customers every day, that are bringing the real value towards the life of these customers. And yeah, as you mentioned, so this is more about maybe organizational change. So how does then this composable architecture, this composable platform help you in growing more towards a lean, agile organization and enabling your people to continuously keep on delivering this value to the lives of their customers?
Yeah, and I think it starts with the customers, right? We one of our guiding principles, Robert, that we established on day one is that the customer is at the heart of our product roadmap, right? We are definitely going to be building an outside-in culture in how we think about and design and build our products, which means we have to build, that build, measure, learn into our ways of operating, and that requires our architecture and our processes to allow us to be able to do that. And that's been the biggest ask that we've had of the architecture, is that it allows us to keep that connection with our customers. And we talked about one of our complexities, the variance in kinds of customers. So over time, as we keep broadening the space in which we are delivering this experience, our process and architecture has to allow it to evolve, so that we can maintain that ability to talk to customers, whether it's in a one-on-one setting, in more formal, structured settings, or looking at how they're actually using the products, and continue to evolve and deploy new capabilities in controlled sort of beta environments, so we can test out MVPs and hypotheses around new product feature ideas or new business model. At the same time as bringing more stable or known capabilities to a broader audience. And we need the ability to be able to do any of them on any given time, in any business, in any market. So it all comes, it's a big ask that we have on the architecture and process side, but it starts with the desire to keep this connected to our customers.
You are now on this journey, and you are also starting to build these capabilities in-house, getting these capabilities also in the hands of your own people. So maybe also for the audience, what are some tips you can give on building these capabilities and bringing this knowledge into your company?
Yeah, well, it's an important decision for us. I think we recognize, Robert, that this is a long journey, right? You don't build these platforms and then you retire them. At least as long as customer behavior is going to drive a reliance on digital aspects like web and app and et cetera. Maybe it'll evolve into voice and other kinds of interfaces, but there's going to be that demand for how customers seek information and how businesses have to deliver. We think that that's a strategic competence that we should build as a company, because we're in this for the long run. I guess that's part of the answer. And what was the second part of the question, Robert?
What kind of advice can you give on building these capabilities? What is your strategy to do that? You're of course also partnering with Capgemini, and how are you looking at that?
Yeah. And I don't know if it's advice. It's just more the approach that perhaps we're taking. We recognize that there's learning to be done, and you learn through putting yourself in an environment where you're learning. Mostly you learn through experience, and you learn a lot from people around you. So our approach is we try to capitalize on all three, right? Let's find experts where we don't yet have the expertise, so we can learn, and it allows us to move fast. Let's learn through experience, of course, which we're going to do because that is the best way to learn. You just start doing. And we are augmenting that with coaching and more learning systems that allow our people to learn about the journey that we're on. So that would be at least the approach, Robert, that we.
Yeah, and that probably will also keep on evolving, right? So now it is maybe around commerce tools, but in the future it might be something in another technology. So yeah, I totally agree. Then you need the expertise from the market, and how can you bring that in?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing here is that you're always going to be learning, right? Technology is always going to keep changing, and usually our ability to understand and adopt it and drive value is always tracking. So the biggest capability we want to build is the ability to keep learning. That's really the journey that we're on.
All right, thanks for your time, Devashish, and thanks for joining me today. And maybe one final question to close it off. How does it feel to be ahead of the curve in the B2B world by choosing to go into this composable direction?
Yeah, thanks, Robert. I think you're being generous. I would say we are looking at our journey. We are definitely at the beginning of our journey. There's a lot more that we have to do that lies ahead than what we have accomplished. But I take stock of our people, the teams that we have, the knowledge and experience that we're building, the processes that we're defining, the architecture that we're establishing, and all of that gives us a lot of confidence. So gives us a lot of confidence in our ability to move forward and on an ongoing basis adapt as and where we need to. So I would say that definitely at the beginning, but we feel good about where we stand and our ability to maneuver into the future.
Great, thanks.
Thanks, Robert.
All right,
Appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
And now joining me for Q&A, we have Devashish from PPG and Robert from Capgemini. That was a great session, guys.
Thanks. Great to be here. Good to be here.
I really love how completely enormous PPG is as a company. 50,000 employees, operate in 70 countries. I think you have the world record within the commerce tools community of having 35 different ERP systems from different acquisitions you've done over the years. I will never get over that stat. And I love that you're able to adopt this really modern style architecture with such a large global organization. And also speaking from a Commerce Tools standpoint, we really love the partnership. And I think that PPG is a model of how to engage with a vendor like us. We love all the roadmap feedback, everything else. So you've been great to work with, and we thank you for that.
Thank you, Kelly. I think the feeling is mutual.
So broadly, how do you innovate within a company of that size? I mean, the traditional approach is to put something out to some gigantic RFP and spend a year making a decision and then spend 2 more years doing an implementation, right? How have you been able as CDO to innovate and push this initiative forward?
So I think it for us, it was more an understanding at the beginning of our journey that we were definitely going to be very lean and agile in our thinking and our approach, right? So putting in place quick and fast feedback loops that allow us to learn through data and through actual usage and feedback from our customers. So that sort of guideline help inform all our other decisions, including how we would build out our architecture, how we would build out our processes and our operating model. And that's really been the sort of the heart of why we are doing a lot of the things that we're doing. It started with the mindset that, you know what, we are going to be lean and agile in our approach, and we are going to move things into customers' hand as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's hard to do. Robert, when you are working with a company like PPG, how do you advise them on when to build something from scratch or buy a commercial off-the-shelf product? Like, what's the dividing line, and how do you help them navigate that?
Yeah, I think it's very important for our clients to be able to differentiate themselves, and in order to do that, then of course you need to. In the old days, you needed to customize a product that came off the shelf. Nowadays, you still need to sometimes differentiate yourself, of course, from the competition. But with tools like Commerce Tools, you can do that in the cloud, but you do not have to alter the Commerce Tools product, as it is a SaaS, in the end, a SaaS product delivering APIs, which you cannot alter. You can just use them, and to make sure that you differentiate the experience using these APIs, but also extending that, for example, on one of the big cloud platforms. And yeah, for us, it's really important to see where in the customer journey are the pains, or where can we bring the gains for our clients. And based on that, we advise them on different tooling that is available in the market. And it can be commerce related, but of course, if it's around search and merchandising, you could also easily suggest a search and merchandising solution.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I love about this new world is each vendor does one thing and it does one thing well.
Yeah.
And if that thing doesn't meet your needs necessarily, you can just build it, right? And that's exactly. That's the whole value of a mock-based approach. So Devashish, you have all these different subsidiaries around the world. You operate in 70 different countries. You have multiple lines of business. What freedoms do you give to each individual line of business, right? For example, can they choose their own cloud vendor? Could one company, one subsidiary choose AWS and one choose GCP, right? Can one choose Java, one choose JavaScript? Like, where do you draw that line on centralizing versus allowing each subsidiary to innovate?
Yeah, I think we look at that decision not in terms of governance, although of course governance has an important role to play here. To a large extent, we are where we are because we didn't have any governance in the past, right? So our customer-facing ecosystem is a collection of hundreds of websites built on monolith stacks of varying technologies, and that's not the right answer. So, everybody kind of just doing everything and no understanding, no leveraging of our scale You talked about how large we are, no leveraging of that at all. That is not the right answer. So we've definitely pulled away from that. But I think what we've tried to do with the flexibility in the architecture is understand that at the end of the day, we still have to go to, I think in earlier we talked about the different kinds of complexities. And one of the biggest ones is the different kinds of customers that we have to serve. So we know that we have to build out different experiences for different customers with different journeys. And our architecture has to support that. Now, I think in our operating model, the goal would be to get to a point where we have a kind of a PPG machinery that is able to operate at a certain rhythm, but it still is able to connect into other partners, whether it's another portion of PPG or another agency or partner that somebody is using, and allow them to work in that same mode, but following the guidelines that we are laying out in terms of our design system, in terms of our technical architecture, in terms of our SEO guidelines, our analytics guidelines, et cetera. So we will create sort of a base framework and then create flexibility that allows us to interact and work with whoever is the right partner on the other end.
Yeah, well, keep up the good work, guys. Really appreciate your partnership. And I think this is a model for how a vendor-customer relationship should go. And it provides a lot of value to both sides. So very much looking forward to continuing this over the next few years and beyond. So thank you so much for your time and for joining us today. I hope you found it fun and interesting.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us, Kelly.
It was a blast. Thanks, guys. Ciao.
Thanks.